have touched the pad. Everybody in the world fused. Now then, crew, and welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. Now this is really just an update on the Honda ATC, the big red three-wheeler that we got a few months ago for Tool Girl Sam to do as a project, and well, it's had some more work done. Now, I remember in the past we removed the starter motor and stripped it and checked it. We did the same with the carburetor as well. We stripped that down, checked it was all good. And yesterday I was working on an ROV that we had to get ready for Piha Surf Club, believe it or not, and it's still in bits, but I just finished spraying it with some special 3M undersealant, or underseal, and it takes a few hours to dry. So while it was busy drying, I thought, hey, I know what I need to do. Let's pull that old Honda Big Red back up on the hoist and do some more work on it. And I was going to film it, but I was covered in underseal and I was a bit grubby and I wasn't very, I was a bit sweaty and it wasn't really going to work as a video. So I was giving the bike a quick once over, and one of the faults that we found was that the starter motor relay, the solenoid relay for the starter motor wasn't working. It was inoperative, and we had to bridge it across using a piece of metal to get the bike to crank over. I put a battery on it, which is way smaller than it should have. That's why I'm kicking around, and it cranked over all on its own. As soon as I pressed the button, so the starter solenoid was working fine again. I thought, oh, there goes a video. I was just about to do a video of fitting a new relay to it, and there's no need anymore. So I don't know why it wasn't working, but it is working just fine now. If it stops working again, then of course it'll get changed. But I wanted to bring you up to speed on the things that I did yesterday and the additional faults that I've found with the bike, which are all no doubt going to be future videos. Now, some of you may ask, hey Andy, why are you wasting your time on basically a piece of shit like this? And the fact is, I've got a bit of a soft spot for these Honda ATCs. On my 7th birthday back in the UK, Dad took us to Lightwater Valley and we rode with my mates some little Honda 70cc trikes around a course, and I was the first one to fall off and get driven over by his own bike. Because I put my foot down like you would do on a motorbike, and it just dragged me clean off, which was, I lost a lot of skin on my leg and stuff. But hey, I had a great time. It was a good day, a bit sore, but when I got a chance to get another one over here in New Zealand for basically next to nothing, I thought, well, I can't really, pass the chance of doing some videos on what was quite an iconic bike of its time. You got to remember that these Honda ATCs were really the forefront in off-road vehicle development for farmers and for recreation, and if it wasn't for these three-wheelers, we wouldn't see the four-wheelers nowadays. Plus, I'm a motorcyclist and I do like a bit of danger, and that's exactly why they stopped making these three-wheeler trikes.
Right, for safety.
They are inherently, I'm going to probably get sued left, right and centre now, but they don't make them anymore, so it should be fine. But they are inherently, through the design of the bike, incredibly dangerous if you're not, this is the covenant now, if you're not a fully trained and certified ATV operator, which fortunately, believe it or not, I am. I'm an official ATV instructor. So, I've got a bit more ounce about me than some of the operators out there, But I was looking through the archives of the sales literature that was available at the time these things were on the market, and Honda made a 250 two-stroke one for racing. They made a range of different engine capacities, right from, I think it was a 70, they might have even done a 50, did a 70, did a 90, 125, 175, 200, 250, 4 strokes, and of course they did the 250 race two-stroke. And the photos that we're using in the marketing material, they had the 250 two strokes doing jumps and pulling wheelies and all sorts of stuff, and it was really quite cool. Something that you don't see in the ATV world, the four-wheeler world now. You don't see Honda promoting an ATV that's airborne 6 foot off a jump. You know, they seem to have backpedaled tremendously and gone very conservative on their marketing. But the bottom line is, these things, when they first came out, there was a lot of recalls. I remember in the UK, they had to disable the front brake so it wouldn't work.
Right, yeah.
So when people were riding into a corner, they'd apply the front brake, and that would induce the bike to roll.
Oh, right, I see.
It would cause one of the rear wheels to lift up. So we'll just disable the front brake. And then they actually they welded up the front forks as well, so there was no fork dive on the bikes.
Right.
So trying to make them a bit more stable, but in reality, they're not stable at all, to be honest. They're good fun, but they're not really all that stable. I can't say too much. I'm pretty sure you can read between the lines. I could say a lot about these bikes, which will probably get me into court next week, but that's not going there. Nah, I'm not going to go there. If you've ever ridden one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you want to watch some videos about exactly what I'm talking about, there's plenty on YouTube that other people have uploaded who have obviously got bigger balls than I have, because I'm not going to be doing that. But I want to show you what I've done to this bike yesterday and the other problems that I found. And then maybe, just maybe, we'll get it fired up and take it for a test ride.
Cool.
First ride, because I want to make
going for a ride.
Yeah, because I want to make sure that all the transmission's good, the gears work. You know, because if there's a serious internal fault in either the engine or the transmission, then you know, A, can I get the parts to fix it? B, is it going to really be worth doing the job?
Yes.
You know, you've got to sort of draw the line somewhere. If, however, the engine and gearbox and drivetrain all seem to be pretty good, then it's sort of got the basics to pull it apart, paint the frame, tidy it up, maybe source some more parts, plastics and maybe rear wheels and stuff for it, and get it, I wouldn't say into concours condition because I haven't got time to do that, but at least get it into a functional, usable machine, just for the sheer hell of it, because it's pretty damn cool, isn't it? You just don't get them anymore.
I love it. It's cool.
Yeah, I like them too, actually. Cool. So, you know, I'm prepared to spend a bit of time on it, and obviously I'll be bringing you guys along on any work that I do on it, apart from the bit that I did yesterday, which didn't actually happen because it didn't need it doing. Weird, isn't it? Okay, right. Let's have a look around the bike, and I'll show you all the things that I found. Okay, so starting from the front, this should be the front brake. Right. And if you pull the brake lever in, Lily, you'll see that this lever here, it doesn't do anything, does it? It's completely solid. Yeah. Now, I used to work on a lot of the little Honda mopeds and stuff when I was a kid, and you've got a steel shaft here that runs through with a cam on it that pushes the brake shoes apart inside, behind here. Yes. And obviously this casting here is aluminium, and what happens is the steel and the aluminium, they rust, they corrode together, and the whole thing seizes up. So I'm going to have to take the front wheel out and try and resurrect that front brake.
I see, right.
Because we do need some brakes. Yes. Really, to ride the bike, you need some brakes to do it properly. So chances are it's been stood so long that the brake shoes, the friction materials probably delaminated, the glues, the bonding probably's failed, and the linings are all loose anyway. So I'm going to have to try and source some new brake shoes for it. Right. Forks, I think it does still have suspension, I'm not sure, maybe it doesn't, maybe they have been welded up. Because there should be movement there. Yeah. And clearly there's nothing. Not too much, so they probably have been welded up. We could, I see. We're going to look under there or not, actually. Let's get the old side cutters. Get rid of that as soon as it's tie.
Pull it down.
It can do, yeah. Let's see what's in. Oh, it's chrome, look at that! Okay, so that actually must be the fork stanchion itself, so maybe we can lift it up.
Oh, right.
So, a little twizzle under there. So I've not actually been in here yet. Oh, there we go. So we've got a dust seal as well, but as you can see, there's no movement. So I reckon the front forks have been locked. Right. So that was another of the recalls that they did. I don't know if this front brake has been disabled. You'd think if it's been disabled, they'd take the cable off. Yes. So I think the front brake is just seized up. Seized completely. So I would possibly fix that. Yeah, no, it's not going to go anywhere. I don't think it could even be the cable. I wonder if the cable's seized. Yeah, the cable itself is seized. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, because you can get a look at the movement on the arm. You can see all. So the cable's screwed. Right. Great. So we need a new cable. Okay, let's move on down. I'll show you some more problems. Okay, so we know that it runs. So if I turn the key on, press the start button. It runs. Yeah. Still but it's quite noisy, isn't it?
It is a little bit. Yeah.
So I found that the gasket for the header pipe
Oh, I see.
is blown.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
completely, you know, you can hear it popping out of there. So
Yeah,
we're going to need
yeah.
to get a new gasket for that.
Right.
But also, that's right. You found another problem.
I'm looking at this.
See,
Like, that's
it's all
very,
it's
yeah.
all pretty
Yeah.
pretty
It's
damn
leaking through there.
yeah. It's all pretty damn corroded and rusty. So that seal in there. When I put the header pipe back on, that gasket there has completely failed. And I'm going to need to weld some. Basically, come up with a new joint design for here.
Yeah.
Because again, I can't. You know, I won't be able to get a new exhaust for it. That's
No.
it's just not going to be worth the hassle. But I can
Yeah.
fix that with some new pipe.
Right.
That's not a problem.
So
Somebody
you
else-
just weld it?
yeah. Well, it needs to be in two pieces though, because it's going to be really hard to thread through otherwise.
I see. So you'll get these two.
There needs to be a joint, so I'll just replace maybe an inch either side of the
Yes,
joint
yeah.
and make a new joint up with different size pipe.
Cool.
But somebody else has already replaced it here. Look, you see there's a weld line there, look,
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, so whether it's another muffler or whether they've broken it or what, I don't know, but it's been fixed. Okay, so there's that bit to sort out, the
Yeah.
exhaust. Now, rear brake, that's this one here. There's not a lot going on there either. You see that the cable's seized up.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll have a look at the other end of the cable and see what we've got on the actual rear brake.
Okay. Cool. What's that?
Now that is a stay for the tow bar by the looks of it. Obviously had a bolt that went through there,
right.
but the tow bar itself is bent down at the moment, so that bolt doesn't line up.
Oh, okay. Right.
So again, it needs a bit of love.
Yeah.
Now, this is the rear brake cable here, Lily,
Mhm.
and if you remember what was on the front, there was like an arm that came off that spindle.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the whole arm's gone.
It's missing.
It's missing completely. So again, I don't know if the rear brake actually works.
Works.
What we can do
I
is
see,
we
yeah,
could put
but-
some, if you press the brake cable, the brake lever down, nothing actually happens at this end
Yes.
because obviously there's
Not connected.
parts missing. Yeah, it's not connected. So if we get a pair of mole grips out of the bottom drawer, on the snap-on, oh, did I say that on camera? On the snap-on, yeah. So the big shiny, that's the ones. So we could put that on. Now, it's probably a wet brake system in here. I've not even looked in the manual, to be honest. I just don't know. But we'll see if it's seized up or not. So we put that on there and see if it's try and actuate it sort of manually. Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah,
So we've got
yeah.
some movement. There's not a lot going on there. Jeez. Okay, let's just try it a bit further round. I think it's probably worn out.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the brake being applied fully as far as it'll
and
go.
it's still
And
rolling.
there's really not a lot going on, is
Lots of
there?
movement happening.
So that's,
Right,
you know,
okay, so
maybe they've realised it doesn't work, so they're just taking the
Just
thing off and
right.
giving up with it. So we've got a seized front brake, which may have plenty of problems inside, new shoes and stuff.
Yeah.
And the rear doesn't work at all, so which means I'm going to have to pull this whole rear carrier apart and investigate why that rear brake doesn't work. It probably needs new.
Right. Oh.
So I think it's a wet brake system, but it could just be shoes inside. I just don't know, so I need to investigate more. Yeah,
Right,
so
right.
that's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
This is the starter motor solenoid that started to work all on its own. That was definitely not working when we were testing it with Sam before.
Right, and it's just started.
It's just started to work, so I'm leaving it alone for now.
Is that why it's starting now? And
Yeah, it just seems to have started to
wasn't?
work. Yeah,
Right.
I had to bridge these two big terminals here with a spanner
Oh,
last
yes,
time to
yes,
get
yes.
to transfer the current to the starter motor.
Right, and now it's just deciding it's going to work.
It's doing a job. It's coming back to life. It's self-repairing as it's been.
Oh.
Who knows? But by next week, the rear
Well,
brake will be
everything
fixed.
work like
Yeah,
that.
fingers crossed. Now, another problem with this is the rear wheels. Now, I'm just going to move the camera so you can see what I mean.
Okay.
So if we look at the actual rim here, look, can you see
Yeah.
it's completely rusted away? There's actually not a lot holding that tyre on at all.
It's literally this.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think this tyre's got air pressure in it, I mean, I've only put a couple of PSI in it for now.
Right.
And they actually run very, very low pressure, even lower than a normal quad bike. They're very, very low pressure. I think it says on the tyre somewhere maximum
What
2
size are these
PSI.
tyres?
So, this one is a 25 by 12
Oh, yes.
by 9, so it's a 9-inch rim.
Right, right.
But, I mean, these rims, they're not repairable, they're scrap. I'm going to have to try and source a couple of aftermarket rims for it, hopefully.
Right.
Fingers crossed
Very
they'll
cool.
hold out for today.
Yeah.
Right, what else have we got wrong with it? Heaps. Let's have a look. Before we move any further out, I just want to check the wheel bearings at the back, see if there's any kind of play on those while we've got it jacked up. Hey, they feel pretty good actually.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good job. At least we found one thing that's not broken. Right, Lily, so
Right.
just do what you did before. Go on. Yes. That doesn't work either, does it?
No.
No. So the pull start's complete junk. I have put we found that out before actually when I pulled it off with, I think it was Holly.
Right.
It was full of water.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't get the string back in. So I'll whiz that cover back off, pull the string back in manually, and then bolt it back up. But what I have done, what I was doing yesterday, is, you can see we've got a nice big fuel filter on
yes,
here.
yeah.
But we had the bike running before off a little funnel of fuel, just filling the carb up. Nice clean fuel. So I thought, oh, you know worries, I'll put the tank back on, ready
Yes.
for going for a ride. So I put the tank back on, ran it up, and it instantly filled the carb with sludge and crap, and it stopped running.
Right.
So of course the tank's contaminated pretty badly. So I cleaned the carb out again, and I put a nice big, automotive size fuel filter. Obviously way bigger than you normally fit to a motorcycle, but
Yes, yeah.
at the moment it's good because I know that there's been a lot of sludge coming out of there.
Yeah.
So that's working pretty well.
Cool.
What else was it? Oh, the carb started to leak, but again that was dirt from the fuel tank getting stuck on the float valve.
Right.
So that's fixed that, all good. There is quite a worrying thing that I found though to do with the fuel tank. So I'm going to remove the seat and show you the problem that I found.
Cool. Awesome.
All right, Lily. There's a little catch just down the side there. If you like a little lever,
Oh, yes,
and you
yeah.
see it's got like a little hook on the frame.
Yes.
There you go. Right, we'll get rid of that.
Cool.
Now I had to make a very quick modification yesterday. You probably spotted this rag underneath here. I found that the fuel tank. See all these pock marks
Oh,
on there. Look,
look, there's a tiny hole.
there
there
is.
too.
So I'm going to do a real close up. We'll give the tank a bit of a shake, and I think we'll easily see where the leaks are.
Right.
Right, Lily. Let's see what happens when we give it a shake.
Oh, wow. And I can see a big hole there. It's just slightly higher.
Yeah, if we'd filled, there's only a couple of litres of fuel in it at the moment.
Yes.
So we've got pinholes where the rust has gone through, and basically this part of the tank here is junk. You know, it's so rusty.
Yes.
So I think the trick with this, if I can't get hold of another tank, then I'll have to drain the fuel, flush it out with some water, and then I'll cut this rust out, and I'll weld a new piece in. Now,
Right.
some people are going to say to me, "Man, you can't weld a fuel tank." Well, believe it or not, yes, I can weld a fuel tank. I've done it plenty of times before.
Right.
And not often do they blow up on me, so it's all good. But no, I'll cut it out, weld a new piece in, tap it down, and then maybe just fill it, and then before we spray it.
Cool.
But it's had a pretty hard life as this
It
tank,
has.
so
Yeah, you can even see on this side.
yeah, and it's
worn
dented in
around
there
the
as well.
side
So
here.
I might try. I'm going to try and find another tank first.
Right.
And if I can't do that, then I'll definitely fix it.
What about
because
this piece up here? Is that just like
Oh, I don't know.
another huge...
what have you spotted, Lily? Show me again.
I feel like I could just push my finger through this. Or is it just the tank?
No, that's rust.
But is
That's basically.
Oh, so it's not rusting through, it's just
Well, it won't take long.
surfaced, really,
Well, I
yeah,
don't
at
know.
the moment.
I don't know what it is.
It feels so...
I'll get a screwdriver. Hang on.
feels a bit flimsy. Oh no, it's pretty solid actually.
Yeah,
Not
give it
gone through
give it a
yet.
poke with that. Don't make any sparks though.
No, he's alright.
Is that all right?
Yeah, it's
Not going to
alright.
leak just yet.
I thought it looked like it was ready just to go pop
yeah.
through. But no, it's alright.
See, I think down here, what's been happening is initially the seat has rubbed the paint off,
Yes, right. And
so
then
it's been
just
bare metal,
worn
and then the
from
rain
there.
runs down and just slowly eats away at the steel.
Right, right.
But I mean, saying that, it's not good. The tank's in pretty poor condition, and petrol's quite volatile, so
Yes, yeah.
you know we need to make sure it's reasonably safe to operate.
Yes.
Now, with it being the Honda Big Red, it has high ratio.
Ah, cool.
It's also got low ratio, and it's got reverse.
Wow.
Now, I was having a little play around with it yesterday, just on the bench, and it's got 5 gears in the gearbox.
Right.
All right. So when you're in high, you've got
Yes.
5 gears.
Right.
When you're in low, you've got another 5 gears.
Another 5.
And then when you're in reverse, it only works. Basically, you put it into first gear, but that becomes your reverse.
Yes.
And it won't
right,
allow you to
yes.
select second, third, fourth, fifth. Because obviously the designers, when they made this thing, realised that 5th gear in reverse was probably too dangerous for even an experienced rider. So
Right.
just
Wow.
one gear. Very different to the Unimog that I used to have, which had, God, what was it? 8 gears high, 8
Yes.
gears low, and you could be in
Right.
any gear in reverse. So you could be in,
Right.
you could, if you were
could
brave enough, you
reverse, yeah.
could, at like 80 k's an hour
How?
was its flat out speed, but I never
Oh,
dared go
wow,
anywhere
no
near as fast as that in
way.
reverse.
Imagine that. The
So,
slightest.
oh,
You
man,
just
it just
roll
roll
it,
over,
yeah.
yeah, because it was quite a high vehicle. And it was real
Yeah.
sloppy on the suspension as well. So I think we should get it fired up, and we need to run through the gears on the bench first.
Yep.
And if they're all good, I haven't got time to fix the front brake today, and we're probably
Yes.
going to need parts anyway.
Yep.
The rear brake is a huge job to fix,
Yes.
which means if we're going to do a test ride, we're going to have to do it with no brakes.
With no brakes. All right.
But you ride horses, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is safe in
Let's go,
comparison.
let's
then.
go.
Easy. Okay. Right, let's get it fired up.
Jump off.
Right, we're going to fire it up. We're going to watch for any petrol leaking out. It's bound to leak a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, fuel tap. Is that fuel tap pointing downwards? Or
Fuel
upwards, sorry.
Yes.
It is,
it's
isn't it?
up.
Cool. Okay,
It's
so we've
up.
got fuel.
Yep.
Right, so ignition's on. Just press the start button.
Alright.
So we're in, what are we in now? We're in high or low? On the gear
Now
lever?
we're in high.
High, okay. So you get the gear lever and lift the gear lever up. So the gear lever's down there.
Oh, wait, I put it low. That? No.
No, that's your transfer box. So you want to be in high there, look. This is your gear lever.
Yeah.
So when
you
so
want
to
me
go up a gear, we're going to go up like that.
Okay.
Cool. Right, you give it a lift up. Let go.
Down.
Can you set up with it?
Yeah.
And let go. Get the spring down, lift it up.
Yeah.
Right, ready?
Now
There we are.
There we
Right,
go.
okay. So that's first gear. Right, so you go up again now, go on. That's second. Go up again. Third. Up again. Go, that's it. Alright, that's 4. Go one more. Pretty quick. Alright, go back down the gears again. 4. Then 30 minutes, okay, and then back to neutral. So, we've got, yeah, and neutral light's back on, so we know we're in neutral. Okay, so now if you move your transfer box to low, now lift it up. Yeah, move it across to low. Got it? Yeah. Alright, you need to lift it up. There you are. You got it? Perfect. Good job. Alright, so we're in neutral and we're in low ratio. Alright, so you can go up a gear again. Okay, that's good. See how slow it is now, look. Alright, then you go up again. That's second. And again. Third. 4. One more. That's it. Pretty cool. Okay, back down again then. Right. Yeah, and then down into neutral. Cool. Okay. Now, see if you get it into reverse. Yep. Okay. So you can reverse like that. So if you let the lever up now, the main gear onto first gear. There we go. You're in reverse. Yay! Cool. Okay, pop it back into neutral. And you're going to leave it down there. Push it down. There we go. And then you can put it back into, probably into low, probably. Alright.
What an awesome little thing.
It's pretty good actually. These old Hondas were absolutely bulletproof when it came to the engine and transmission side of things. So I was really hoping that it was going to be okay.
Yes.
But you never quite know.
I'm sure the quad I used to drive must have been a Honda, but it was a four-wheeler quad.
Probably.
Yeah.
But back in that era, Honda had a lot of bikes in New Zealand.
Right,
A lot of bikes.
right.
They were sort of by far the market leader.
Cool.
It's changed a bit now, though.
That's
A lot of the
awesome.
other companies now have taken a foothold, and Honda's losing market share left, right, and centre year on year, which is just the way it is. It's competition, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, let's head back to the bench.
Funky little thing.
It's bloody awesome.
That
Isn't it?
is cool. I love it. Lucky I'm there to do that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to wash those shorts.
I
They are
know.
filthy now. Fancy choosing white. Very festive. Good job. Okay, well, the Honda ATC. It runs and it's not burning any oil and stuff. There's no blue smoke going out the exhaust, so that's a really good sign. Starts mint actually. First press the button and boom.
That's cool.
It wants to live. It really does. And we've just checked all the gears, and there's 5 gears in high ratio. There's 5 gears in low ratio. And when you're in reverse, it only allows you to use first gear, which is probably a sensible option because otherwise people would be flying around like idiots at maximum speed in 5th gear in reverse.
Yes,
I know I would be.
yeah.
So, yes, the transmission, other than the wet brake in the rear, if it is a wet brake, appears to be working just fine.
Yeah.
Now, we do have a bit of an issue for a test ride, and we might do the video of the actual test ride as a separate video, I think.
Right.
Because then that way, if either of us end up in hospital, then it probably won't go on the channel, will it? You know? We can sort of separate it. But we've got a few issues here. We've got a fuel tank that's leaking petrol. It's a Honda ATC to start off with, which is never very good for safety. It's the fuel tank's leaking fuel. The front brake is completely seized up. The rear brake doesn't work at all. We've got a rear wheel that's so badly corroded the tyre could pop off the rim at any time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very restricted
So
on the test
we've got a few issues going on in the background that at any point in time could fail and destroy the bike. You know, who knows? Only one way to find out, I suppose, and that's
Still what?
Yeah, get the GoPro fired up and get Lily on the bike and. God,
Let's go.
are you going to crash?
I don't know.
Place
Get
your
the
bets.
ambulance
I don't
ready
know.
to call, but we're doing it.
Watch out, because on the next video, Lily is going to test ride the Honda ATC around the paddock, and well,
wish me luck.
I better double your life insurance, I reckon.
Right.
Okay, crew. Well, hopefully you found this little update video helpful. I know a lot of people out there have never seen these Honda ATCs, and that's why I'm sort of taking my time, working my way through the whole thing, and trying to keep you involved in the repairs that I do. You know, it's important to, you know, I think it's interesting. I'm enjoying working on it. Finding the time is the hardest part, to be honest. I've got a big contract at the moment to do a lot of ROVs, which are burning a lot of my time, a lot of Ben's time. Plus, I'm still at work. You know, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, all over New Zealand, doing exactly what I do. So it's chaos and editing on an evening. So it's not easy. So hold that thought. I know at the start I said we'd do the test ride in this video. I think it's best as a separate video. I do.
Yeah,
I really do.
We'll do that.
Okay, so you're happy with that?
Yeah, that's
right.
cool.
Okay. So we're going to sign off. Okay, crew. Well, if you enjoyed the video, why not click just next to the lady's head the subscribe button. You'll see a little gear icon turn up. Click on the gear icon, and then you can tick the box and turn on notifications. And that way, our friends down at YouTube will send you an email as and when I upload any new videos. God, it's weird, isn't it? I remember all this word for word now. So it's so many times. It's crazy. I used to do briefings on the four-wheel drives back in the UK, and that was like 10, 15-minute briefing. It was all word for word. It's great. So good. A bit
like
monotonous.
A robot now.
It was almost like a robot. Actually. It did get a bit monotonous. You had to try and change your voice as you were going through because people were falling asleep. What else? Oh, you'll also find me on
Facebook, Instagram, Google+, and Twitter.
You will. Feel free to communicate through any of those portals, chaps and chapettes. But if you don't mind, first point of contact via the comments down on YouTube, because that's the easiest place for me to get back to you. There's also a new or recent Patreon page where you can read all about the projects that are up and running, the history of the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel, and of course the Tool Girl profiles, and you'll find Lily and all the other Tool Girls on there.
Find us there.
Yeah, lots of photos and bits of sneaky footage that I've managed to slip in there. Feel free to take a look at those if you like as well. And if you are going to become a patron, then please only pledge what you can afford. I don't want anybody really sending money through which is going to cause a problem for you at your end. That's not the idea. Feel free to send through what you can. It is, you know, much appreciated and does go directly into the channel. But you know, you don't have to. Don't feel compelled to do anything like that. But if you want to, that's great, and it is much appreciated. What else? One last thing. There's always another thing, isn't there? On the Patreon. That's about it. So we're about there, actually,
Merry
aren't we?
Christmas.
Yeah, Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Yes, lovely hat, by the way.
Thanks.
It's looking a bit oily now.
Yeah,
You've done an
full
oil
of
change
oil.
and all sorts of stuff today wearing that, haven't you? But
Won't be wearing that one on Christmas.
no.
Put up on Christmas.
Grunge Christmas is what it'll be.
Grungy.
All right, guys. Well, it's goodbye from me.
See you guys. See you later from Tool Girl Lilli.
We'll see you very shortly with Tool Girl Lilli's test ride of the Honda ATC.
Wish me luck.
Better get the old ambulance here,
You're
I
all
reckon.
invited to my funeral if I don't.
Golly, don't be saying that.
See you guys.
Yeah. See you, crew. Over and out. And you get the pick up again.
Oh,
Really.